Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I know a lot of us, when it comes to just changing up our homes or offices, struggle with a lot of different things in terms of design. We're going to answer questions today. This is what she does. She is a certified decorator, interior designer. She has so many fantastic ideas, and we're going to bring her in here today. Rebecca Marks is back with us. Welcome. How are you?
Good. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me.
And I want to get it out here right away. Instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. If you have a question, design related, fire it off here. We'll see if we can get it answered for you, and take the load off your shoulders. You know, if you're struggling with something, you know, in terms of your house design or whatever it might be. Where do we start today, Rebecca? Tips. We're going to do tips today.
Oh, let's do tips. Let's give what the people want, right? Let's get right in it. And when you're looking at a space, whether you already have furniture in it or you want to remodel, and it's just blank, the biggest piece of it is figuring out the color palette. And a lot of people struggles with that because they don't know how to figure it out. And as professionals, we have a color wheel, and there's certain colors that go better together, certain colors that should never be next to each other, and all that stuff. But obviously, we study all this. But for regular folks out there, it's kind of hard if what color, can I do orange and purple and things and those kind of combinations, and what shade? Is it too dark? Is it too bright? So the easiest, simplest way for you to figure out your color palette is to walk around textile stores where they have swatches of already prefabricated material, and maybe you find something that you love, or you have a piece of art that you see and you're absolutely in love with it, right? And it already has colors. These are pre-curated colors that have been put together that obviously you already love, and they work together because they're in this piece of art or in this wallpaper or material. And so that is the simplest way for you to create a color palette. Find that piece that you can't live without and that fascinates you. Take a sample of it and then take it to the paint store, right? Pick, like always, I always like to put the most neutral color because it's the largest, the largest impact, the most neutral color on the walls. And then from there, I start working from your darkest, richest tone down, right? So smallest trinket, let's say, I don't know, we have try to think of something like yellow, orange, and red. And you see a piece of art or maybe a fabric that you love that's orange, yellow, and red. So I will do a very light yellow, like the perfect tone of yellow on the walls, and then we'll have maybe a orange chair and red little trinkets on the bookshelves. So you go from the most muted tone to the brightest, and it's smaller scales. Does that make sense?
What about, and it's funny because my friend just posted this on Instagram, accent wall. So he's like, yeah, put this color here, and they did an accent wall. How do you make the decision, which one should be lighter, which one should be darker, which wall should it be? Are there any rules of thumbs, any tips about that?
So yes, there are rules that you can use as guideline as far as which ones should be darker and which ones should be lighter. Usually the rule of thumb is if there's a small space, especially if it doesn't have a lot of lighting, you want to go with brighter colors because it opens up the space. If you have a larger room that has a lot of natural light, especially, you can go ahead and pick a very dark colors, for the walls, for the tapestry, for your furnishings. It's able to sustain that, and in fact, it'll make it look cozier because it brings in the space. However, I feel like some interior design rules are meant to be broken. If you Google dark bathrooms, for example, they're small spaces without a lot of lighting, and you'll see some beautiful combinations of straight up black bathrooms, and and the way they contrast with the fixings and the pieces with whites and golds or brass colors, and you go like, man, that really works. So some rules are meant to be broken. I would hire a professional if you want to break some of those rules, because we'll have a better guidance on how to break them. But rule of thumb, small spaces like colors, big spaces, you can go ahead and get a little bit more dark.
So in your memory, and we can't see it here, but in your memory, what were some of the crazier color combinations that you used that worked?
So I have not used them, but I've seen them work.
Okay.
Um, Lived in New Orleans for 10 years. And
Hmm.
you have the LSU Tigers with purple and gold, and then you have the Saints black and gold, and then you have, of course, Mardi Gras, a huge thing down there with the golds and the purples and the greens, and you will find people that decorate rooms with those combination of colors.
Wow.
And some of them will work, and some of them do not. But I will say, yes, definitely people down south, they know how to mix their colors in some crazy combinations.
I give them a lot of credit for at least taking a chance to get a little in the wild, coming from the guy that has an orange wall right there. And you can't, this doesn't do it justice with the lighting. I have another light in the background, but that's a gray wall. So, like a lighter to medium gray. And I just think they looked well together.
Yeah,
Um,
I
what
love that.
it looks cool. I like it. Took a lot of time to find the orange. What is the accent wall? Like, I don't even know. Like, what is
That would be considered an accent wall, your
the
orange wall.
the
Yes.
orange would be? Okay.
Yep.
Is
And
that
then
is it brighter and bolder and that's why it would be?
yes, it's brighter and bolder, it's different. It usually attracts the eye,
Okay.
right? Then
Hmm.
you have the pictures with the black frames, which is perfect with that bright color. And then so when you walk in a space and you see the wall, you're like, all right, like a fireplace is considered, an eye catcher is when you're arranging furniture in a space, you want to arrange it around that fireplace because it should be what the room is based out of, kind of thing.
Hmm. Interesting that you said, the pictures and these are just people that I've interviewed, Timberlake, Bieber, Billy Joel, and they signed it, whatever. Um, I don't even know they're there until you just said it because I always see it. But now that I look at it, it's like, all right, the black does have nice contrast with the orange and then the gray wall. I,
Right.
I didn't realize that. It's so crazy.
So it is like contrast, right? If you could have picked like a yellowish or a red again frame, and it still would have been good, but it does not contrast as good as the black does.
Gotcha.
So
Hmm.
good
Yeah,
job.
it was an accident.
Well, sometimes that's a most things, they're
Yeah.
like an
Well,
accident.
okay, an accident or maybe not. I didn't intentionally do it. I said, what either it's going to be brown frame or a black frame. I just went for the black frame, but maybe subconsciously, we don't think of these things, but we know that it kind of looks good together and then we just go there. You different situation that comes from experience and getting certified and all of that. How about another tip? What can we talk
About
about?
another tip. Well, let's talk about wall art, right? And last week on my social media, we talked a lot about wall art and how to pick it and everything. And one of the biggest thing is if you're going for like a really modern, stylish look, then you want to go ahead and measure the entire space that is free of your wall and where you want to hang it. Like let's say I have a dining room and I have a breakfast bar and I want to hang something above it. I will measure the free wall from each corner of the breakfast bar and then from the very top to the wall to the top of the breakfast bar. And from there, you go a little math. It's a little math equation, but it's just 60 to 75% of that space needs to be covered with a piece of art. Um, Again, if you want to go super sleek and modern feel, more formal, you get one piece that covers the entire space. If you want to go for a more informal, more homey feel, then you can go ahead and do a little mash like posh of different frames, different sizes, but and its totality is going to cover 60 to 75% of that space, even though you have 6 pieces of art instead of just one large one.
Gotcha. Um, did they call it photo walls? I'm hearing we're seeing
Yes,
more and more of
very
pictures.
popular.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, very popular. Especially, and again, it's more to me when I've worked with people, it's more of an informal, like they'll have the family room. That's where you see more of those kind of collage of pictures.
Yep.
A big tip too is never separate when you're doing like little collages, never separate them for more than 6 inches because it makes it appear like one frame to frame. Keep it at 6 inches or less because it makes it feel like it's on a different, like a different piece. But if you want it to be all grouping together, you want to keep it on those 6 inches or less.
I sold a house year and a half ago and had put one up like 2 years before. So in my mind, right as you're saying that, Rebecca, I'm thinking, all right, was it 6 inches? And it was probably about maybe 3 apart from each other. And they were, probably, 8 by 10 pictures, somewhere around there. They didn't have frames, they were canvases, photo
Yeah.
canvases. Yeah. All
And now
right.
they have mappings too. If you get it from one of those services, that's what's great now about if you want to do it yourself. We live in such a do-it-yourself society that you can order it and they'll send you a map. Most of the services will have like a little map that you can just tape on the wall, make sure it's level, and then just put the nails where the little holes are if it's one of those, and you just
Do you know how long it took me to put that up? And
Oh, I know, because for my clients, I'll bring all the frames with all the pictures and I literally sit on the floor of my office and I'll map out the perfect layout, to balance it out. There's a lot more to it.
oh
I'm
yeah,
not gonna give all my secrets out.
no problem. I had to discover them myself. And of course, when you put something on the wall, whether it's a canvas, frame, or whatever, you're never exactly sure where it's going to hang. You know what I'm talking about? It's
Oh,
not an
yeah.
exact science. So you got to kind of like, you got to shift around, move it around.
Last week I share a reel on how to, and it's a little trick, and all you need is just masking tape, um, a little Sharpie, and on the back of the frame, you will put the masking tape level in each of the holes, especially if it has like 2 holes that people are like, I don't even know how to make this. All right, so that's how. Put the masking tape on top, mark where the nail will go, and then put the masking tape on the wall. Again, make sure it's level, and then just put your nails, and it fits in perfectly.
Okay. All right. So you're making a template
Yes, you make
on
it
the
your own template.
gosh, duh.
So it saves you a lot of holes on your
Oh my
wall.
gosh. Oh, well, fortunately, you don't see the holes if you screw up because it's behind
Right?
something, but
As long as you're not off that much.
right. But they're there. And that's,
Mhm.
the kind of when you have a perfectly painted wall, right? And it's like you spent the time, spackled it, you did it just right. And now you screw up and you put a hole where it's not supposed to be. Hopefully it's not seen, but it's there. Uh, Other tips. What do you got? These are great.
Other tip, decorating bookshelves. That's a big one. A lot of people tells me, how do you keep it from looking too empty or too cluttered? And I like a combination of these 4 items. We're talking about books, a plant, some piece of decor, and a picture. If you're those kind of people that does not mind, there's people that doesn't like their formal living room. They don't really do pictures in that space, and that's fine. So just do the other 3. If you are like one of those that loves, I love my family. Like you walk in my house and you know exactly like this is, so my family is everywhere. And but that's like the 4. And you can have a very large, long bookshelf, and you can still use those 4 and just do those 4. And if you do them to the right scale, that's all you really need. If you're looking at a more smaller space, then maybe use 2 of the 4, a plant and a picture. maybe some decor. And when it comes to the decor piece, I love to make it interesting. I like for my clients' homes and my home to tell my story. It should be your story, right? It's your home. When people walks in, they should feel like they're coming into your space and tell your story. So although there's a lot of beautiful pieces out there in the world of decor, when you're traveling, right? And you find a big shell, maybe at the beach on one of your family trips, to be able to take that home and make it part of that decor piece. And when people walks in, they're able to see that shell and go like, "Oh my God, that is so neat. Where did you get it?" And now you have a conversation starter. Um, I have a one of my favorite pieces. I have a little glass jar and it has like one of those little candle lights, so it twinkles a little bit and it lights up at night, and friends will come over and be like, "Oh my God, I love that. Where did you get it?" That was my trip to Spain, one of my many trips to Spain to visit my brother, and we were walking through this Arab town and they sold this and I got it. So it should be, your decor piece should give you some form of piece of who you are. Maybe you go thrift store, and find something interesting at the thrift store. So you purchase that.
Hmm,
And so yeah, so that's my little thing about the
love
decor
that. And the plant thing, it's missing life, and the
piece.
plant
Mhm.
is life. And I'm thinking about, I have a bookcase, bookshelves, and what's missing, and it's the plant. And it's funny, here in my office, you can't see. Well, you can. It's
You can, yeah. Yeah.
right in the back of a piece of equipment right there. I have
Okay,
a
yeah.
I have a plant there, I have a plant over there, and a few here and there. I don't have any at home. And I think it's because I have two cats, and so
Oh.
they go crazy. So, but I can do artificial, but I didn't even think of that. But that's what's missing. You have the books, you have, a piece of something, art could be whatever. You have the photos, but it's missing life. Plants are alive, even if they're artificial. There's life, energy, life
And
feel
they have
coming from them.
incredible artificial plants now out there
Yeah.
for, a quarter of what they used to cost 5 years ago. So I have a combination of artificial and fresh plants at my house. Artificial ones always live longer. I don't know why. But for those corners, maybe, it's too dark in that corner. Or you don't have the time to be watering plants, whenever they need to be watered. A faux plant is a great way to add that life.
Sure.
Just find high quality plant and then put it in. I'm telling you, it changes the feel of the entire space.
Oh my gosh, so true. And when I moved into this office, I had some plants. They didn't last. I'm good now. I have a good, we're good. And I have one that's very sentimental that I've had since 2019. And
Oh my
sometimes,
God.
yeah, I can't believe it. It's not a big one, but it's still there. And sometimes I'll come back from the weekend and it'll be looking like it's withering. I'm like, no, no, stop, no, because I'm trying to keep it alive because it's got meaning.
Mhm.
Um, how about some of the other tips? I really love these. Like these are, things that are easy to execute but make such a big difference.
Yeah. All right. So you want your home when we're purchasing furniture, a big one. People tends to walk into the store and you buy everything matching. You don't want your home to look like a catalog. You want your house to look like a magazine cover. And when you look at a magazine cover, none of it match. Everything works together, but none of it match. And that is a big one for me. Don't go to a store and buy the bed and the side tables and the dresser all on the same at the same
Like
uh
the same
yeah,
set.
the same set. Don't do that. In fact, don't buy everything from the same store. Go to different stores, shop around and find something that works. And they don't have to be, they can be similar, but they shouldn't be equal or the same style exactly, everything matching, because again, that will make you look like you're out of a catalog, but what you really want to look like is like a magazine cover. And that
Hmm.
is the biggest one.
For something like that, I call Rebecca
Yes,
because
exactly.
yeah,
That is
a lot of
exactly.
us don't know what's going to go, what's going to feel right. But I get what you're saying because my bedroom set is all from the same set, and it's okay.
Mhm.
Like it. When I look at my living room, my entertainment area is dark black, and then I needed a table that I can also eat on as well. And it's a darker wood, but it's not from the same. But I like it because it's different, but it still goes. That makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Wow.
yeah, and the combination of different styles even, and this is where if you really want to do it yourself, just you're gonna have to dive dip into finding a magazine that you really like their styling. And then once you get, a couple of different magazines for furnishings and you see their different styles because they're all different out there. There's Country Living, there's Beautiful House, there's Vogue, there's Ale. House, like, so there's very different styles in each one of these, and just to name a few of them. And then once you find the style that you like, to be able to dig into the pictures and see how they the combination of the pieces and the different styles, um, woods with metals and
Mm.
all that, it just kind of comes into play. Of course, again, that's a lot of time. So you can just find an expert like me and we'll do all that for you.
I was just going to say we've crossed over to the Rebeca territory right there.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And another couple of minutes left. Anything that stand out tip wise? Quick
I
tips.
think corners can be tricky
Mm.
in households. The easiest way to soften a corner, an empty corner at a plant, again, going with a plant, right? And I see one behind you. I don't know if it's in a corner, but it does.
Wait, well, I got to share this with you. That's a recent plant. Guess where it was? In a corner.
Mhm.
And it was kind of a wasted corner. It's a weird configuration here. I actually have a sink in like a kitchen area, and the wall goes kind of weird. And I'm wasting that. I love this plant. So I was like, I'm going to put it in my, this area, the studio area. But yeah, corner can be tough. They really
Yeah.
can.
Lamps are a great way to also
Mm.
do something with it, especially now they have those like hanging over, and you can maybe put a chair and it can be like a reading section if the space allows. If you have a smaller corner, then you can go ahead and do a plant, taller plant. If you want like a really modern look, then you want to find that sleek look of a base with a tall, skinny plant. If you're more of the homey feel, then go ahead with a palm that just kind of opens up and the more colorful, round, typical base.
Wow. Love these tips. I can keep going. We're out of time. I love it. Because it makes life so much better and easier. We all want to have something that looks nice, but sometimes
Right.
we don't know how to do that. How do we contact you if we want to start the process of taking it to another level here? And there's all different levels that you work with. How do we do that?
So go to blueliliespace.com. Lily spelled Lillie. And from there, you'll find the contact me page and my phone number, my email, and everything else. But yeah, blueliliespace.com.
And I'm sure too, go to your website. We can get your IG link and see reels and all of that there too, right?
Oh my God, yeah. Oh yes. Every week I'm constantly sharing, and every week is a new theme. So it's always something different, something fun.
And that's what it should be when
Yeah.
you're changing it up. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Homes for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.